The LONGBOX CRUSADE presents
G.I Joe Chronicles, The Devil's Due Years.
Forget the Baroness! I, Cobra Commander, have returned! Oh no! Now to Baroness!
Welcome to G.I Joe Chronicles, The Devil's Due Years. I'm one of your commanders, Pat Sampson, codename DJ Kristatos, and joining me, as always, is my battle buddy in this operation, Gerald Albrecht, codename Death Probe.
I'm Gerald again tonight. It's like 2 episodes in a row. Oh, man. You know what? I never met this more than I do right now, but at ease, DJ Kristatos. And to all the green shirts out there tuning in for our podcast, we want to welcome you all back to Fort Longbox. And we appreciate you tuning in to talk some of those post-2000 G.I Joe comics with us as we chronicle our way through the Devil's Due run. And man, we're starting to get close to the end of this thing.
Yeah.
Now, real quick here on this episode, I want to mention our new recording method in order to free up our schedules a little bit from here on in, which won't be that long. We're going to be doing double recordings, which means we're going to actually be recording for issue 34 and issue 35 all in one evening. They'll be released separately. You're listening to episode 34 right now, and 35 will be out, I don't know, a few weeks from now, but they're recorded back to back. So from here on in, for every 2 issues, you're going to have the same guest. And the only other thing that'll really change is there won't be any feedback for the second recording. So when episode 35 comes up, there won't be any feedback on that because we recorded it at the same time as 34. Again, this helps us with our release schedule, and that's what we're going to be doing from now on. You won't really notice any other difference other than that.
Right, and besides Jared's name changing to Gerald.
Yeah,
going forward now.
From the name change. On this episode of G.I Joe Chronicles, DJ Kristatos and I are going in old school. It's just the 2 of us. Our guest, we had a guest slated for this evening, but
got a little problems with the ComSat.
The ComSat was not being good to him.
Not working out.
So hopefully, as I was just telling you, we'll have the same guest twice. Hopefully that'll get addressed and he'll be on the next episode. So we'll look forward to that. We'll let you know who it was at that point. So anyway, Pat, since it's just you and me here, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Jared. Thanks for asking. I'm glad to be here. It's good to be back here at Fort Longbox.
Heck yeah, man. So, Pat, my question to you this episode is just me and you.
Mm-hmm.
Of all the G.I. Joes, now I'm not asking for your favorite. Who do you think has the coolest outfit?
Coolest outfit of
Doesn't have to be your favorite Joe. Just someone's got a banging outfit.
That's a good question because there are a lot of cool looking outfits that are out there. I would have to choose. Can it be Cobra too?
Sure. Why not?
Joe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I know you like that profit distribution Destro, the Pimp Daddy Destro.
Yeah, that's a good one as well. I still got to go with Dial Tone. I think I like his outfit. It's sharp. It's kind of cool looking. The green and the tan green and the bray. I think that.
All right, man.
How about you?
I was thinking, I like Storm Shadow version 2.
Oh, well, that's a good one. See, I didn't want to take the obvious one
with the gray urban camo to it. Like I've always been taking with that. I always like it quite a bit. So that's probably the one. That's the first one that popped to mind.
Yeah,
and his hood. He's got like a hood.
Yeah.
In addition.
Yeah, like a hoodie.
Kind of cool. Anyways,
that's a good one.
Hey, listeners out there, what do you think's the best looking Joe? 707-532-5269. If you want to leave us a voicemail. Or, of course, you can hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or YouTube at LONGBOX CRUSADE. Who has the coolest outfit in the G.I. Joe universe? We'd love to hear from you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to DJ Kristatos for this episode's Intelligence Report.
For this mission, we will be covering G.I. Joe number 34. Publisher was Devil's Due. Cover date at September 2004. Writer was Brandon Jerwa. Penciler Tim Seeley and Jason Millett did the backgrounds. Inker is Corey Hampshire. Colorist is Brett R. Smith. Letterer, Dreamer Designs. Cover art goes to Tim Seeley, Corey Hampshire, and Brett Smith. And speaking about the cover, Death Probe, please take us through the cover description.
Here we go.
Take cover!
This is a very somber cover, and even though his head isn't in the frame, it's a drawing of a wheelchair-bound General Hawk. It's done in grayscale. The only colors other than that of the title and the logo can be found in Hawk's decoration ribbons on his uniform and the U.S. flag laid over his paralyzed legs. So, Pat, what do you think of this darker, more somber cover?
It is an interesting contrast of colors with this, especially going with the gray, as you mentioned, kind of somber look. I really like the way the red pops on this with that gray tonish background, but it's odd because you don't see the face, and I can't tell if that's deliberate or is it, just the way it kind of turned out, because you can see, they must have did his whole face, but are they doing it more to tug at your kind of heart for veterans that may have been hurt during their time serving in that? That's kind of how I'm feeling on this one right now.
I agree with you. I think it is done just to focus on battlefield injuries. I think they made him sort of faceless on purpose. Yeah. And like you said, this cover, it's well drawn and it's well inked. It even has sort of a fake distressed look to it. Like it's almost make it look a little older than it is, like maybe an old faded photograph or something like that. Yeah. Has a real neat effect to it.
It is interesting. It draws you into it to want to pick it up and just figure out what's actually going on with this issue.
Yeah, especially if you've been keeping up and the injury that General Hawk sustained, I think 2 issues ago and dealt with last issue.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at scoring the cover. Jared, what are you going to score this cover? And here we do it as a 1 to 10 scale. 1 to 10 flag points. 1 meaning you didn't like it at all, and 10 meaning it's perfect and you should make a recruiting poster out of it.
Well, this is a tough one because it's not very action-y,
No. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if I wanted it to be a recruiting poster, but...
It's definitely not necessarily a recruiting poster, but it's memorable.
It is.
And it's strong. So this is an odd one to score, but because I can look at it and immediately kind of remember what's going on in the story at this point, I think I'm going to give it a 9. I think I really like it. I'm going to give it a 9.
That's strong. That is definitely a strong one for you. I am going to be at an 8 on this one. What pulls me back is, I guess it's the cover that doesn't somewhat match what's going on the inside a little bit. I think the next one does.
I mean, but he's dealing with his injury.
Yeah.
But I mean, we never see him in this look.
Yeah. If this would have been last issue's cover,
yeah.
I think this would have been a better fit. So, still a great cover, good looking cover. I'm going with an 8.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, with the cover out of the way, let's go back to Death Probe for the story synopsis in our mission brief.
On G.I Joe Chronicles, we mix things up a bit. We say that, but we've gotten Cobra a lot lately. But I'm going to have DJ Kristatos pull the randomizer to determine the synopsis point of view. Will I tell it from Joe's point of view or Cobra's? Who knows? Kristatos, pull the lever.
I'm pulling the lever, and I'm crossing my fingers for a Joe this time. Here we go. It is Joe!
Oh, we got a Joe one. All right, let's get to that.
Look in the eyes of a hero and see the sacrifice within. There's no way out for the hero. He only lives to fight again. Our hero says all not for fortune or fame, but death, freedom, because we all just want it the same. Real heroes don't give up.
Remember when Cobra blew up the WNN News building in an attempt to kill Hawk and Lady J? Well, the president has decided to go honest with the public, retract the story of the burst gas main, and tell the truth about the Cobra plot, but also try to put the public's fears to rest by announcing the capture of Cobra Commander. It's a sticky move to say the least, made even stickier since General Hawk still has not returned and refuses to take any calls. In his absence, the original G.I. Joe, General Joe Colton, has stepped up to temporarily take Hawk's place. Our intel indicates that Destro is regaining control of Cobra forces with his new strong right hand in the form of Wraith. In fact, Wraith is in New Moon in Arizona, where Mirage and a team of green shirts have discovered a Cobra cell and are on the run for their lives. Snake Eyes, Mayday, Clutch, and Roadblock are sent in to help extract the team And that's where things go from bad to worse. The rescue team is spotted, shot down, and now they too are looking for a way to both save Mirage's team and escape New Moon as well. And with Wraith, Major Blood, Scrap Iron, and a whole bunch of Cobra foot soldiers hunting them, that looks like a tall order.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
All right, now it's time to get into our highs and lows of the issue. It's just me and you, DJ Kristatos, so I think I'll let you have a whole bunch of these this time. I know that's how you like it.
Oh, boy.
And I'll let you kick things off, man. What do you got for a high or low as we chat about this one?
Well, the high in this one, what I liked about this is that it called back to some older issues. So if you've been listening along with us or reading along with us, you got some mentions of older things that were happening that are bringing more stuff to the forefront here. And I like that because that tells me, there's a good story that's being woven throughout this series. I like the callback to New Moon and that, the last time we were there, it was earlier on in there. And that was when they were looking for Serpentor kids, right?
Serpentor. Yeah.
Serpentor. He was looking for his kids, and
Yes, the clones. We haven't seen much from them ever since they've been sort of taken in, haven't we?
No, that's true too. So maybe they'll come back later on as well. But that's what I really liked about this story is that it drew me in more with some of those callbacks to some of the other stuff that's happening. And we still got what's happening with Hawk and Cobra. You really don't see much of Cobra in this one, just in that kind of crazy mind, kind of a mental thing that was going on with the Baroness in the beginning of it, which was really cool too.
Yeah, she had that nightmare. I'm going to roll right in that because I was going to say one of my first highs was just, the art's really cool, but that page of her nightmare vision of Cobra Commander where he's like part man, part snake.
Yeah.
It's kind of very evocative of the animated film, when they turn him into a snake. But it looks so good and menacing. I love it.
Yeah, that's really cool. There's some really good artwork being done at that. What's up with Scalpel? Is he a real figure?
He's a real figure. I've got Scalpel.
Really?
Yeah, of this era. He certainly is. Yeah, like we mentioned, he was just kind of lurking around.
Yeah.
Like an issue or two ago. And here he's lurking around more, but he has, he's sort of like their medical guy. He's got that look like we have important things to talk about, which I think get revealed in the next issue.
Yes. But
tantalizer there for the listeners.
He just seems like a creepy kind of guy that you want around. And why, if he's your doctor, wouldn't you come up with a better name than Scalpel?
He's the one to call Dr. Scalpel.
I'm just like, I don't know if I'd want him touching me you got to go see Dr. Scalpel. I just came for a checkup. I don't need to. And he's got that thing on his front with all the tools in his front.
He's like a traveling doctor. He's ready to roll, man. He's ready to roll.
Yeah, it's scary. And then, later on towards the end of the issue, he comes back with his mask on, or maybe it's in the next one, but I'm getting confused now.
Well, I'll tell you what, while you're sitting there being confused, I will roll into a high for me, which is, who never, ever gets talked about anywhere in G.I. Joe is Mirage. He got a really kind of a cool limelight. Like Mirage, the character itself didn't even get introduced into the toy line until the 90s. He's kind of a forgettable, later in the run figure. And then they kind of brought him back.
Does he exist? It doesn't have
Mirage jokes. They kind of brought him back and made him a little cooler around this time, both in the toy line and the comics. And so it was kind of neat to see him get some limelight. And he's out there, basically training some green shirts or giving them their first mission and the challenges that go along with that.
Yeah. Interesting.
He's got a team of 3 folks, I think, something like that. And they are not doing well. One of his new green shirts named Stall is particularly not performing well. And I'm kind of interested to see, they give a lot of time to that in both this issue and hint in the next issue as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of interested to see what the future of Stall is, but maybe we can talk about that on the next episode, come up with some theories.
What I also like on this one is we bring in Joe the original Joe.
The
Joe
original 12-inch Joe. He should be like 4 times taller than everybody else. But yeah, they definitely like went way back into G.I. Joe history to go with Joe Colton. That's the original 12-inch Joe before the 3 3/4. So, what'd you think of that, man?
I thought it was nice. I remember when they brought him in back in the Marvel run when he showed up in that series as well. I thought it was really cool. I think he's he's definitely a cool guy. They also brought in Jane as well too, which is, again, this brings me back to that, let's continue to grow, but not forget about our roots in some of the stuff that was done in the original series, or in some of the stuff that has been laid in this series as well too. I like how he is, he's Joe, he's the original Joe, and nobody's going to knock him down, and he's going up against the jugglers in this because they want Hawk to show up to either try to get rid of him or just totally shut down the Joes.
Joe Colton, the original Joe, is taking over at a difficult time. He's kind of on his back feet. There's a lot going on. The Joes have kind of been put in a tough place in public square, if you will. And, he doesn't really know what kind of back burner machinations, little blackmail, something that Hawk's got on different people to help leverage things. So he's just kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, but he's doing the best he can with his experience. So, yeah. Now, I wanted to ask you, one of your favorite duos was in here. We had some Tomax and Zaymot action. And Destro is basically like, hey, you guys have done a good job sort of bringing Coil back to Cobra. Basically, Destro's like, hey, I'm basically taking over here. I've got this plan. You guys in or out. And they kind of take a pass, right? They say, oh, no, thanks. And then so Destro kind of has to strong arm them with the threat of the Wraith. Interesting. I kind of figured they just roll right along with it, but interesting that they didn't.
It is interesting that they didn't. And I think, it just shows that they got a pretty good thing going with Coil right now. I think, Coil is a good foe. I really think that they could do some damage. In fact, they are. You got that triad of enemies. You have Joe against Cobra, Cobra against Coil, Coil against Joe, Coil against Cobra, and all that, just kind of that triangle going on in the ring. It's if it was a wrestling match between the three of them.
There's a lot going on. And ultimately, Destro's like, hey, we want you and the Crimson Guards and the Coil guys that you've won over to be sort of reabsorbed into Cobra under my leadership. And they were like, we'll take a pass. And then Destro was like, well, then I'm going to put you in the stockade. So, yeah, that's a tough spot because eventually they're going to want out of the stockade. And so they'll at least lie and say that they're going to be working for Destro. So, it's a tough spot for everybody.
Yeah, it is. With the Wraith, is he the new Storm Shadow?
Yeah, he clearly is, because they made sure to put Snake Eyes on that rescue team, didn't they? Because they really want to put up the Snake Eyes to Wraith battle. And to my knowledge, once again, I went and looked the other day, and maybe I need to dig a little deeper, but I think to this day they still haven't made a Wraith figure.
No.
It feels like, Devil's Due was certainly pushing that character. And as we know from our interviews that we've had Mr. Josh Blaylock on the show, he's told us that, Hasbro has to approve everything they're doing. So clearly Hasbro was like, okay with this character, but it's weird. That it doesn't seem like they really did anything with him in the toy line. In the comics, they're using the heck out of him.
Yeah. I mean, it's been several issues now that they're building up to this kind of story to see that Wraith is an enemy that is definitely somebody to be watching out for.
Oh, yeah. They definitely built him up. Like I said, they made sure that Snake Eyes was on the rescue team because you got to get those two to square off, right? And then that leads me to question, when they introduced the rescue team and their sweet van, Snake Eyes is originally maskless. He's relatively handsome blonde dude, and you usually know the G.I. Joe timeline better than me, and I can never remember. Is it at this point, do you think, is he wearing a mask, or is this post facial reconstructive surgery? I can't remember in the timeline.
I don't know. That's a good question. It's been such a long time that I don't know if he's had the surgery, but then I think he got hurt again, and I don't know if it's a mask or
You know what? Let's put to the listeners.
Maybe
They
they
can always
forget.
help us out. Yeah, our loyal listeners. We got a little lost in the timeline, folks, of Snake Eyes and his face. So here in this issue, which is like 2004, is he masking it up or is that surgery? We'd love to hear from you. Please hit us up on our social medias at LONGBOX CRUSADE, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Or you can give us a call and leave a voicemail, 707-532-5269.
Let's talk about the extraction team. I like who they all have ready to go there, and I like their way that they're going to do it. You know, everybody piled in this van, and then they're going to get dropped off to go and hunt down and pick up Mirage and his team.
Yeah,
But-
it's supposed to be a relatively easy operation. Just because, you know, I used to work at the helicopter museum, the Army Aviation Museum on Fort Rucker. I want to point out they were brought in by a CH-54 Sikorsky Sky Crane. That has nothing to do with anything. I just want to show off.
Yeah, you impressed me. I just had a new helicopter.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
We used to have one sitting out right in front of the building at the museum. But yeah, it was a relatively good plane. We all knew it wasn't going to go right. In fact, that CH-54 Sikorsky Sky Crane got blowed up, and the van dropped from a pretty considerable height.
Yeah. I mean,
And luckily, it was a battle van, which I think
it's
is like
strong.
a battle wagon.
Yeah, kind of, but not as. I think if it was the wagon would have lasted longer.
Okay, but the battle van was hardened, and they were able to survive the fall. And then that's kind of where the issue ends. Is like, hey, we survived the fall. We're stuck here. Again, it's Clutch, Snake Eyes, Roadblock, and relatively new character Mayday. And they're stuck in town, and the town's like Cobra controlled, and that's where the issue ends. So, you got anything else on this one, my friend?
I think I really enjoyed the action in this one as well, too. I think this whole thing was kind of well placed. You had some interesting take in the beginning. Then you had everything going on with Destro and the jugglers and with the media, news media, kind of going after the G.I. Joes now just to kind of, get it out what happened at the WNN building that being blown up and all the people that got hurt there, trying to expose everything that's kind of going on. It's interesting in the story to find out. But then towards the end, you get the extraction team being put in and then finding out that it kind of goes south. And we're at the end of the issue going, are they going to get out? What's going to happen? Because Wraith, Scrap Iron, and Major Blood are there ready to do some damage.
Yep, it's definitely a good cliffhanger, and we'll definitely cover that on the next episode. There's a lot of cool stuff to talk about on the next episode. One of the challenges of recording these back to back is I want to talk about it so much, but
Yeah.
we'll rein it in. We'll leave it right there. Definitely a good discussion. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to you, DJ Kristatos, for the IG's report on the combat readiness of this issue.
All right. For those of you who don't speak military, that means we're going to score this issue's story in the same 1 to 10 flag point scale we used earlier. So, Jared, 1 to 10 flag points for this issue.
Well, I liked it. It was a lot of groundwork. It was a little bit of emotional flashback with the Baroness. It was a lot of remembering storylines from before, like you said. So it was really good, really solid. I think good and solid is an 8 for me. I think it's a good 8 issue for me. What about you, man?
I am also at an 8 as well. As I went through this, it had some good art. Art in this is just really spectacular. I really like the art in this. And then the action that happens as well, too, kept me turning the page. And I am excited to read the next issue. At the end of this, I wanted to read the next issue to find out what is going to happen. So all that said, I'm at an 8 with you as well, too. It was great character, left me wanting more.
Can't ask for much more than that.
All right. Well, with the score of the issue out of the way, let's go ahead and find out who we want to give our special award to. And the award is either the Silver Star Medal for gallantry in action or Silver Snake for sneaky snakitude. This one was kind of hard, but let's find out what we thought. So, Jared, who are you going to put as your either Silver Star or your Silver Snake?
There's a lot of nominees in this issue. Like you said,
for both things.
I'm going to go with the Silver Snake. When I look back upon it, I really like the way Destro is getting the house in order.
Mm-hmm.
He's really putting it all together, and it gives me confidence in Cobra leadership, which is rare.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a lot of honorable mentions, but I won't even mention them because I want to give you a chance to put your Silver Star, Silver Snake out there.
I was going to go with Destro as well, too, with their Silver Snake. So I will do the opposite and give out a Silver Star. And for that, I'm going to give it to Mirage.
Good choice. Doesn't get a lot of limelight. He really did in this issue.
But, he's the guy that in the field, he was doing what needed to get done and making sure that the green shirts were also following orders and playing by the, I don't want to say by the rules, but, doing what they needed to do to make sure the team survives.
Yes, tactics. Can you apply what you've learned in a stressful battlefield situation? And so far, the answer for Stahl is nope. He's getting people killed.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. He might even get himself killed. That's what I worry about.
He's getting the glitter-covered poop in the shape of a star award for this book. Now, you don't even get no glitter.
All right. Well, now that we have those awards out of the way, let me go ahead and hand it back over to Jared for his segment, Death Probe's Toy Chest. And who do you have in the toy chest today?
It's here, the G.I. Joe collection, each sold separately. G.I. Joe from Hasbro.
Well, Pat, this time around, you mentioned him, I mentioned him. We are going to talk about Mirage. Here, I will give you a brief toy history on Mirage. Mirage is a bio-artillery expert. Yeah, he's from that era of G.I. Joe, the whole post-Ninja Turtles, eco-warrior style thing. When he first shows up in the toy line, his specialty is bio-artillery, which includes rocket fire assaults and heavy artillery. His figure description is as follows. He wears a dark green jumpsuit with blue boots, blue belt, blue gloves, and blue trim. He also has a bright red bandolier and a green visor. He is definitely from this era of Joe figures. His accessories include a green submachine gun, a green rifle, a green knife, a blue missile launcher with 2 green missiles, blue armor mold, green figure stand, and a jar of moldable bio armor, which was essentially Play-Doh. He was first released in surprise, 1993 as part of Series 12, and he was discontinued in 1994. He was part of the Mega Marines series. As of the time of this recording, which is October of 2022, there are currently 5 versions of Mirage. He said his first one came out in 1993. All the other ones come out between 2002 and 2005, which is the sweet meat of when this comic book was released. Those versions are a lot cooler, as they reflect what you see in this story.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's still a lot. 5 versions for this particular figure.
Yeah, basically he got that 93 version and then 4 more versions between 02 and 05. I'm not sure if I have the original one. I might, but I'm pretty sure I have all 4 of the 2000s versions.
I have.
What about you? Did you ever have Mirage?
No, I did not have Mirage. I think my figure collecting at that time was not much in the 90s. I'm earlier Joe series kind of guy. But
nothing wrong with that.
No. Interesting figure. I did the Mega Marines. I don't even remember that series.
When I saw the packaging, I thought for sure it was going to say Eco Warriors on it, but it said Mega Marines, but it's definitely of that time. We've talked about this on previous episodes, that post Ninja Turtles, everything got brighter and mutations. And, this one came with that moldable bio armor, which was really just Play-Doh. You can make Play-Doh molds and stick it to
that's cool. Yeah.
They were looking for those gimmicks because Turtles were on the rise and G.I. Joe was falling out of fancy. And like I said, once he comes back in 02 to 05, he's a lot more as you see him in this one.
Yeah, I think he's a lot cooler looking in this one. Next up is our feedback segment called Combat Comms.
Call it G.I. Joe! Go get Breaker! He can do it!
As always, we will start off Combat Comms with a roster of our battle-hardened Crusader Club veterans. These are the fine folks that have joined our Crusaders Club. They enjoy early access to special Longbox video episodes, free raffle giveaways, voting on show programming, and so much more. So these are the folks reaping the benefits and giving some much appreciated support to the show.
Angelica Wolf. Ow.
Elber and Elvis.
Blast it or stash it.
Braxton Underwood.
Captain Entropy.
Clinton Robinson.
Dave Collins. Battle Wagon.
Not as strong as the Battle Fan.
Not as strong.
Dance Battle Wagon.
Ezra Gallo.
Gary Viola.
Gene Hendricks.
Gerald Green.
Jason Keene.
Jeremy L.
Jim German. I hope you like Jim German too.
Joe Thomas.
John Watson.
Josh Strickland.
Candace Ward.
Captivating Kathy Bright, the MVP.
Mark Ross, a.k.a. Cluck Trent.
Maxwell Traver.
Miranda W.
Profit Distributor Devons. P.D. Devons.
Profit Distributor Pip Daddy Divins. No, that would be something I'd like to see. Paul Hicks.
Rick from Jeff and Rick Present.
Rob Morgan.
Ryan Daly.
Samantha Maney.
Sean Urbanski.
Spidey 67.
Spreadsheet.
Steve Cronin.
Tim Price.
Tony Pennington.
And the Toronto Cop.
If we missed anybody on our list, we apologize. Please keep in mind that we record these episodes well in advance of release. So if you are a recent addition, we should be adding you soon. But still, don't worry about it. Let us know that we missed you by sending an email to contact@longboxcrusade.com, and we will get it all straightened out. So you might be asking yourself, how do I become a Crusaders Club member? Well, it's very simple. Just head on over to patreon.com and search for Longbox Crusade. For as little as $1 a month, you get all the access. And Jared, guess what?
What?
How much access do you think it is?
75%.
No, it's not.
85?
No, not at all. You're way off.
It couldn't possibly be all the access.
Jared, let me tell you. Are you sitting down?
I am.
Okay, because it is definitely all the access. This is more access than you can get on a stick.
Yeah, that's a lot of access.
It's a whole lot of access that you get for joining the Crusaders Club. And believe me, it's amazing. So come and check it out. Now let's see what messages we have for waiting for us from our platoon of loyal listeners here on Breakers ComSat.
Now, Pat.
Yes, Gerald.
Before, thanks for sticking with the continuity. Before we even get into these, we have to do the segment that people demand, because we put it out there. Questions for Orsted.
Oh, we do have questions for Orsted. Very cool.
We do. We have a phone message sent in. Questions for Orsted. Let's take a listen to our friend Clinton Robinson, the host of Fan Film Fridays from the LBC basement, and see what he sent in.
Hey, yo, Joe, man. This is a question for that Orsted dude on the G.I Joe Devil's Due show. Orsted seems like a pretty cool dude. So I'm just thinking, like, what if he's totally swung by the Longbox Crusade headquarters and checked out that dude in the basement and totally let him out? Because I hear that dude's a cool dude, too. And, you know, two cool guys could hang out together. That basement dude and that Orsted dude. Just a thought. Yo, Joe, man. Yo, Joe.
All right, so there's the question for Orsted for the week. So let's bring Orsted in here and see what Orsted has to say. And Orsted will be played by both Pat and myself because we can't help ourselves. So I think Orsted would probably say something like, "Hey, man, I'd love to come by and hang out in the basement with you, man. I will be your friend, but like, I don't know what kind of things you do when you're not in the basement. Like, if I let you out, if it'll be good for other people and the environment. So, you know, I'll hang out with you all day, man, but I don't want to be responsible for what you might do to the environment. So, yeah, man, we can just hang out."
Yeah, you know, like hanging out. I just want to say this to you, dear trapped in the basement. It's okay that you're there, you know? consider it your own little chill place.
Yeah.
You get it. It's nice and cool. And just nobody bothering you. You got everything.
Subterranean, man.
You're one with the earth. Just think about that, you know? It's just you and the ground around you, just kind of chilling and relaxing. Why would you want to leave?
It makes no sense, man. Just be where you are. You know what they say? Bloom where you're planted, man. And you've been planted in the basement, so just bloom, man. Bloom like the beautiful flower you are.
Yeah. Just grow, man, grow.
All right, now if you have questions for Orsted, we're happy to bring Orsted back to answer all your questions. You can leave us that voicemail at 707-532-5269 or 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone.
Yeah, just pick up the phone, man. Yeah. All right, with that, let's get into our comments. We have one comment this time. Pat, what do we got?
Well, we have it from our very own captivating Kathy Bright MVP. And Kathy mentions, as we had mentioned in that episode before, having Kathy on and giving her a special code name. And she says, Lady K, I'm all in. I think that's a cool code name for her.
You came up with it. You said, Lady K. And that's
cool. Well, that's why it's cool. Of course.
So we're going to look forward to having Kathy on a future episode and introduce you all to Lady K. And that was our only comment. We want your comments, folks, and your voicemail. So thanks to Kathy for sending that in. Thanks to Clinton for sending in his voicemail. And that's going to bring us to mission complete status for this episode of G.I. Joe Chronicles: The Devil's Due Years. If you'd like to hear more from us in the realm of comic books, action films, vintage TV, movies, serials, and more, check out the entire Longbox Crusade Network. DJ Kristatos, where can they find that?
Well, Gerald, I'm glad you asked. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and all the podcatchers out there. Jared, just like adding on to our Crusaders Club, you can get us on all the podcasts out there.
All the accesses.
Yes, all the accesses out there. Or you can just go to www.longboxcrusade.com. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all at Longbox Crusade. Back to you, Jared.
If you'd like to chat with us online, we can be found at, back to you, Pat.
You got me on that one. I can be found at Kristatos01. Back to you, Jared.
Oh, all right. I'm at Yard Sale Artist, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. It is all at Yard Sale Artist. You can check out my wares at www.theyardsaleartist.com, which includes several book page sketches of your favorite G.I. Joe characters on the pages of actual military manuals. My most recent one, Quick Kick.
I'm hoping you can get like a medical one and you can make Scalpel on one.
Oh, Scalpel. He would look sharp.
Hey, man.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of G.I. Joe Chronicles: The Devil's Due Years. We will see you on the battlefield next episode where we cover issue number 35, Bad Moon Rising Part 2 of 2. Until then, platoon, fall out.
Yo, Joe.
The music themes for this show are done by musical genius Joe November. Please check out his SoundCloud at Josephline99. That's Josephline 99. You will not regret it.
Yeah, man. Yo, Joe.
Yeah, the Baroness had that dream about that big snake, man.
It just freaked me out, man. I mean, and she must have had some bad mushrooms or something on that pizza and that veggie peaches she had.
Oh, man. Like, I love all the creatures, man. I love all the animals, but that snake, he's got to die. I'll burn him with kerosene and a match.
You know what I would do? I'd get that crazy doctor guy, that Scalpel, man. It's like, dude, why you gotta wear those knives?
Yeah. You know what I'd put in? What would you put in there instead of knives, man?
I'd put lollipops, man.
Yeah, or I was like licorice sticks, man.
Ooh,
swizzle sticks. Oh, and then he can change his code name, and Destro would be like, hey swizzle sticks.
Hey, licorice guy. I'm hungry. But then, Destro is always like, I always tell him, Destro, when we're eating at the table, man, You got to take the mask off. You're just getting it on your metal mouth, and you know
it's gonna get corroded.
Yeah, it's gonna stick. And what are you gonna do, man?
You know, he makes me, like when we were kids, he made me clean it with Brasso, you know, to get it real shiny.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like trying to get dried up broccoli off of it. It's no good, man. It's no good.
It doesn't look good either.
No, but whatever, you know. If that's how he wants to be, that's fine.
At least he's eating his broccoli. You know, that's what I said. At least he's getting it.
Eat healthy.
That's the moral of the story. The whole thing is just eat healthy.
Just eat healthy.
Eat healthy and enjoy the basement.
And maybe not through a metal mask, but yeah, even if you're in the basement, man, eat healthy and get plenty of sunlight. Well, maybe not in the basement. You can't get the sunlight. Take vitamin D tablets, man. If you can't get out, that's fine. All right, let's see if we can bring Jason for the second episode. I'm sure Jason's loving us horse sitting in the way. Gotta do Orsted outtakes.